Well, what's up? What's up? What's up? Happy Saturday to everyone. I hope everyone is having a great day and the start to a great weekend so far. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion, where I like to say, stories come in all shades. And I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that I love so much. You know the drill. Jump on, say hey, let me know where you're tuning in from while we get this show kicked off for sure. As always, you can check me out on all my social. This is the wrong scene. All my social channels here. Make sure that you connect with me. I got pretty good at pointing in the right direction. Make sure you connect with me on all my social channels. Follow me. I definitely want to hear from you for sure. Because I want you to be engaged. You can check us out live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. If you are checking out from YouTube, of course you know that now you have to check out the show on the Color of Motion group page for sure. I want you to get connected because we got a lot of great things planned for this season here. A lot of new things rolling out by the end of the year. Got the new group. I want you to be engaged. Jump in. A lot of news, information on the industry, conversations. So I definitely want you to be engaged for sure. But again, you have to check out the show. If you're one of those Facebook watchers, you have to check out the show from the group page. We got a new website that will be launching soon as well, and an Instagram page. A lot of great swag coming coming up soon. Mr. Neil, good afternoon from Las Vegas. I hope you are doing well there, my friend. I appreciate you as always checking out the show. Like I said, we got a lot of great things planned for coming months before the end of the year. Like I said, new website, Instagram page. Going to have some swag where we're going to be doing some giveaways, contests. You'll be able to purchase some of the swag on the website as well. But again, if you are one of those ones that likes to check out, okay, that's wrong. If you are one of those ones that likes to check out the show from Facebook and LinkedIn, I do always encourage people to go to my YouTube page. Let me do that again. My YouTube page, on youtube.com//Don Terrell. Give a thumbs up, comment on the episodes. Subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you are notified of when the show goes live and new content goes on the channel. Like I said, I am constantly working to try and make this the best show that I can make, and always encourage people that so choose. You are able to help me support the channel. You can drop a few coins or dollars. Like I said, I like the folding kind as well. In the tip jar, you can do it the Cash App, Don Terrell 65, or you can scan the barcode and you can donate. For sure. And I'll be throwing all this information up at the end of the show as well. And if you do, like I said, we definitely want to make sure that we give you a shout out and give you the props that you so deserve. And your name could be here. We could be giving you a shout out if you, like I said, support the show. It does help me to continue to level up the show and make it the best possible show I can. Like I said, I got a lot of exciting things planned for the show. Again, like I said, I want to thank everybody for joining me every week, 3 p.m. Central Time, and engaging in the show for sure. I hope you guys are as excited about this episode as I am. Like I said, me and my guy have been conversing and having almost a show outside of the show, talking about a lot of different things. So I know you're going to enjoy this one because super talented brother and got a lot of great content. Unfortunately, your name didn't appear, so hopefully you can jump on, and I'm just seeing LinkedIn user, as you can see. So, but I do appreciate you saying hey. But let me know who you are, because I always like to say, call people by their names. Of course, my goal is to, make this the best show that I can make it. Always look to bring that. Oops, I'm on the wrong side. The wow factor there, and for sure, this is always. I try and make it a very boom show for sure. So always looking to. I haven't had a chance to play with these graphics, these particular ones. So I enjoy, like I said, having a good time with them for sure. Like I said, I know you're going to enjoy this show because, like I said, I've had a chance, even just a little bit before the show, and even yesterday, me and my guests were just having such a great conversation. I've been so looking forward to this show. And just to give you a little hint, here's some of his content. And like I said, we are going to dive into some of his stories for sure. So without further ado, let me introduce my guest. I can't wait. Plus, he's not hometown, but he is a Buckeye, so gotta love that. My next guest has been writing and drawing since he was a wee lad. Comic books are the cornerstone of his all-American pop culture diet, and he was born an average middle-class black boy in Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati, like I said, Buckeyes for life. Go Buckeyes. He graduated from Cincinnati Moeller High School and was a football player, academic achiever, and art student. These things led to a full ride scholarship to Boston College, where he played for 5 years and got redshirted his freshman year. He's lived in Cincinnati since graduating from BC, worked in the mutual fund business, banking, and auto sales industry. Been married, raised 3 kids, and continues to pursue the dream of making his own comic books, which you just saw, and we're going to dive deep into, that will stand the test of time and someday be seen on your nearest streaming platform or your local Redbox machine. And I predict that soon. But make no mistakes, his first goal is to create and establish iconic black superheroes for the public at large. Everybody's talking about changing the narrative or taking control of our narrative. To me, creating vibrant and organic black superheroes, our own pop culture mythology, is a vital piece of capturing our identity in literature, film, and stage. Please, everybody, help me welcome my guest and very special friend, Mr. Brian Williams.
John Terrell.
Mr. Brian.
What's up, man?
What is going on, my Buckeye brethren there?
Man, it's Ohio. It's a great place to be. I like the Bengals. So what?
Well, yeah, you know, I
Yeah.
forget we have the Bengals.
Yeah. And
I'm a Brownies fan. What can I say? I'm a
and
Brownies fan.
since I went to BC, I'm not that big of an Ohio State fan, but we'll take them. We'll take 'em.
Man, I am so excited and happy to have you on the show, man. Like I said, you know, we connected a while ago, and I just
Yes, sir.
knew we were going to be fast friends and just connect so
No
well.
doubt.
And like I said, I've just been so impressed with your stories and your writing. And just what you're doing. So super excited to finally get you on the show and sit you down, my brother.
Well, thank you very much. And before we get started, I've said this to you before, and I'll say it again because I want everybody to hear this. Um, Thank you for doing the hard work and laying the foundation for a show like this. Uh, I've often asked myself, why am I not doing a show like this? Why am I not, going out and talking to the mass creators that, really don't get an avenue to do this. So you providing a conduit is awesome. It's heroic, and I got your back.
Oh man,
Whatever you
I feel
need,
like one of
man.
your superheroes, man.
We in this together, homie. So let's do it.
Oh man, like I said, we, like I was just saying earlier, we've had a chance to talk or almost have an interview before a show before the show. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I guess to start out with, what kind of drove this passion early on for you with comics and writing and just this industry and space? What was it that kind of grabbed you initially about it?
Initially, and we got to go back to childhood.
Yeah.
Initially, I was told by both my parents that I talked too much. So in order for them to hold me at bay, my dad would come home with about 4 comic books, and he'd be like, "Hey, take these, go in that room, and do your thing," And I started reading comic books. Of course, all of us have grown up with Superman, Batman. I used to watch, the Adam West Batman, George Reeves Superman.
Yeah.
I even jumped down a flight of stairs one time because I thought.
Hey, I did my Spider-Man thing over the balcony too, so don't feel bad.
I blamed my grandfather on it after they were taking me to the emergency room, and that's something that I'll never forget that I did, and I shouldn't have done it, but I did, But I tell you, when I really started to become a nerd, fanboy type, I discovered this thing called Ultraman.
Oh yeah, I loved Ultraman, boy.
Woo!
Yeah.
You and I are the same age, so it probably hit us at the same time. And my pops would often share things with me and then be sorry that he did, because it would turn into an obsession. And Ultraman was my first fanboy obsession.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the fact that he could grow to be the size of Godzilla and fighting all these other creatures. And he had this thing where he would go like that.
Yeah. I'm telling you. Oh man.
I thought that was cold. So,
big.
And then I happened to also be introduced to Bruce Lee at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, my parents were ready to put me out at a young age.
And it was funny that you mentioned that, because like I said, I was a big Ultraman fan myself. And I don't know if you remember Johnny Sacco in the flying robot. Oh man, I was just glued to those shows for so long.
Johnny Sacco, Gamma Ra, Godzilla, then comes Speed Racer.
Yeah.
But
I'm
my
having
parents,
flashbacks, guys.
Yeah. But my parents were very insistent that I read. So they started noticing that I was learning vocabulary, and my vocabulary was increasing because of my reading of comic books and other things.
Yeah.
And they encouraged it for a while. They made sure that I had a steady stream, a steady supply of books, and I began to enjoy the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. And then I wanted to know, okay, these books I'm reading, how did these people come about? How did they get their powers? How did this happen? And it was a gradual process, man. It just became a way of life. Of course, I was also a Star Trek fan, so
yeah,
and a $6 Million Man fan.
Ooh, yeah, I tell you. People were having and you know what's funny? I found the first episode on the streaming service and watched it the other day. And it was like, wow, okay. I don't remember the very first episode. And they didn't have like Oscar Goldman on there.
Yeah.
They didn't have some of the characters that were in the kind of the running TV show, but it was, like I said, $6 Million Man. I was a big fan, of that. It's like I said, you're giving me all these flashbacks here, for sure.
Hey man, let me tell you, the most traumatic episode of TV that I ever saw, and I'm sure this is the same for a lot of people out there, was $6 Million Man versus Bigfoot. I was done. My father had to come in my bedroom after that episode and tell me, look, you in Cincinnati. Bigfoot ain't around here, so don't worry about it. And I was like, man, you didn't tell me nothing existed like this,
Oh, man, I can't remember. I forgot all about that episode.
Yeah, that traumatized the brother.
I'll tell you. But you mentioned something. We were talking yesterday, and like I said, I was just so kind of taken with the story that you were telling me about your dad and how you were, telling him what you wanted to do. Kind of, retell that of what you wanted to be and your response your dad had, and how that kind of just led you on this path.
Both my parents rest in heaven. Very great intellectual people, and very concerned about my development. My mother was an artist, a repressed artist, because she had to, get out there and work in the, the regular job corps like everybody else.
Yeah.
But she could have been a fantastic artist with support from her parents. But, at that time, unfortunately, women weren't given a lot of support in that area.
Yeah.
But, I got my artistic tendencies from her. And my dad was the more practical guy. So we were in a car one night in his Grand Prix that I told you about.
Yeah.
That 1973 Grand Prix. Take you about 2 hours to turn a corner in it,
Hey, we were the stuff back then, man.
That's right. That's right.
You thought you were living like a large king, man.
That's right. I thought my dad was Richard Roundtree.
Expecting him to jump out the car.
Yeah. But anyway, he looked in the rear view mirror and he had a tendency to call me young blood. And he said, "What you want to be when you grow up, young blood?" And I said, "Well, Daddy, I want to be a comic book artist." And Don, he had this sheer look of horror in his eyes. I could see it. Even as a 7 to 8 year old kid, I could see that, I said the wrong thing, because, my pops, his face went pale white. And he said, "Well, look, you know what the term starving artist means?" I go, "No," because, I was 8.
Yeah.
He says, "Well, you know what starving means, right?" Yeah, I said, "That means you don't eat." Well, Most artists don't eat. And he said, so if you know that, you don't want to go through life and starve. You don't make much money as an artist, is what I'm trying to tell you. And he goes, besides that, when have you ever seen a black artist, black comic book artist? When have you ever seen a black comic book writer, for that matter? And you know what, man? You ever had like an older kid on your street that was bullying you, and all of a sudden they like sucker punched you in your throat, or your chest, and all the breath went out of you? That's kind of how that felt, you know. And I was mad, you know. I was like, so why can't I be a writer? Because I can't be it because I'm black. I can't be an artist because I'm black. You know, but the odd thing about that, and I'll say this to kind of bring my father's story full circle with his influence to me. Even though he said that to me, he bought me a comic book. I think it was Amazing Spider-Man issue 123. And on the cover, Luke Cage is punching Spider-Man. And of course, he came in the house in the usual manner. Here, take this and get out of my hair. Go back there and read that. Man, I went in my room and I looked at that cover for about at least 2 hours. And when I finally came out of my bedroom, I said, Pops, there's a black superhero on this cover, and I have never seen this before. How can that be? There aren't any black superheroes. And he goes, well, of course there are. You just got to make them.
Powerful.
And and once again, unfortunately, he should not have said that to me. Because I've made that my life mission.
And you've done an awesome job. Yeah, and you've done, like I said, an awesome job so far. So at what point did you decide yourself, okay, you know, I'm not quite the artist, but I got stories that I can write? When did you kind of start to see that shift of, okay, I think I probably need to focus more on the story of it as opposed to drawing the comics and the artwork?
Well, what happened, I actually was a pretty decent artist all through grade school and into high school. But I also was an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to a point where my art teacher in high school, Mr. Greg Stanforth, respectfully, shout out to Mr. Stanforth. He's actually coming to visit me after the show here at my studio. Yeah. But, you know, he kind of told me, he's like, listen, man, I've done as much as I can with you up until this point playing football. I kind of need you to, you know, make a choice. You know, you're going to pursue art or football. And, you know, being a young man, I was like, man, I can juggle both of these. You know, I didn't see why he wanted me to just focus on art.
Yeah.
And nor did I want to give up football. You know, you know, you from Ohio, you know how big and central football is.
Yeah. Even at the high school level. Yeah.
Right. But also, you know, I had worked hard to develop myself as a football player too. So I didn't want to give up all that. So I kind of strayed away. And like I said, I got a scholarship to go to BC and kind of forgot about my artistic endeavors. But while I was at BC, I pursued a degree in communications and started writing screenplays and started developing the writer side of me. And I found that I was very interested in doing that because I wanted to control the visuals and I wanted to create the characters and so forth. And hey, there's a lot of artists that do their own writing too out there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's cool. I just don't happen to be one that can handle all of that at once.
Yeah.
You know. So I went the writing route, but I do from time to time, I'll do storyboards, or I'll, you know, if an artist is not really picking up on what I'm describing with my words. I'll sit down and sketch out a doodle, you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and let them know, hey, this is where I was heading with that character visually. So I still have all the imagination and juice up here of an artist.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just can't carry it to the paper.
Yeah. But I think that works well with you because like you just said, you have the visual that you can and you're an artist so you can still kind of communicate even if it's a quick sketch with the artist that you're
Oh yeah.
working with. This is kind of how the idea I had in mind. And to that, I always find it interesting just the collaboration and like between writer and artist on comic books and how they kind of really work together to bring a story and you know, you from the story point of view and the artist from a visual impact point of view. Um, I find it an interesting process. Do you find for you that's a space that you really love, that kind of collaboratory, uh, you know,
I'm
relationship?
very happy that you brought that up because I've had the unique opportunity to work with some very talented artists, and I mean that sincerely.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, you can look at
yeah. And people,
both of those books and
these
see,
are some, like I said,
yeah,
and we're gonna dive deeper into both these books. This one's Lucius Hammer. We're gonna dive into the backstory of how he came up with that. This is also another great one, great character, Harlem Shadow, and we're gonna dive into that. And just as a little teaser, I did kind of get him to donate maybe a couple of copies on the next issue that we're
oh,
going to be
definitely,
doing a giveaway. But like I told him, these are mine that he sent me.
yeah,
But
they're
they are
yours. You
such
got them. I
amazing
sent them to you as a
stories.
gift.
But you were saying the process of working together with an artist, you know, being in a collaborative type of environment.
Yeah, well, there's to me, since I have jumped into this whole self-publishing thing, and that was back in 2000
Mm-hmm.
when I started. I've worked with uh, a gentleman named Billy Dallas Patton. I've got another friend named KP that I worked on a werewolf comic book that I was trying to develop.
Yeah.
And as I was entering into this phase of trying to collaborate, I found it so refreshing and invigorating to give somebody a script and then watch them go.
Yeah.
And then kind of also have them kind of say, well, hey, Brian, you know, that was a great page you wrote, but how about looking at it like this? Because what's going on is you're creating kind of a chemical reaction type situation. Once you introduce the story idea or the script, then a seriously a magical, almost kind of spell like transformation starts to occur over this script you've written. It
Yeah.
begins to take on a life of its own in the artist and the writer. And then if you guys are professional enough, you get the best of both worlds from both creators.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a highly rewarding situation.
Yeah. For sure.
Christian Colbert is the artist that worked with me on Lucius Hammer.
Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha. And speaking
and
of Lucius Hammer, I mean, what was your, and people, you can, I mean, hold this back. My mic is
there
in
you
the
go.
way.
Yeah, that's better.
But what was your, I mean, what was the genesis of you creating this character in this story?
The thought that I would never get to write Luke Cage. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it was simply that I was actually bummed at what Marvel was doing with Luke Cage. Not to step on Marvel's shoes. You know, they know what they want to do with their own properties, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm like any fan. You know, why would you do that with Luke Cage?
Yeah.
I told you, he's a member of the Avengers and he's running around with jeans and a wife beater on, while Captain America has a vibranium shield, Thor has a hammer,
Yeah.
Iron Man has this high tech armor, and Luke Cage has superhero powers, but he can't even get together a costume.
Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of bothered me. So I started thinking about what I would do. I actually initially was going to just try to write a spoof of Luke Cage. And then I said to myself, why would I do that? Why would I add to some of the tropes? And we talked about this too.
Yeah.
Some of the annoying tropes that we as Black people sometimes encounter when we see Black characters produced by, major companies like Marvel and DC.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's when it began to morph into a story about a superhero who has been endeavoring to be a hero to the public for a long time, but he's never been accepted.
Yeah.
And as he begins to truly grow old, he decides he's going to take one more shot at being a hero. And because Lucius Hammer is extremely long-lived, I don't know if you picked up on this in the comics, but he was born in the 1900s.
Yeah. Like I said, the story was so engaging, and I did pick up that he was born a while ago.
So he's kind of the caretaker of the lore of the Black superhero. He's seen them all. He's seen the struggle that Black superheroes went through trying to be recognized as, like the other heroes that we grew up with.
Yeah.
My whole thing was, hey, what happened to all the Black heroes when we were reading about Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash? Yeah. There had to be some Black superheroes somewhere.
They were just in the background.
Exactly. So I'm bringing them to the forefront. And Lucius Hammer was one of those characters.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I'm curious, we're starting to see a lot, I guess a lot of the major companies and studios like Marvel and stuff, I guess, start to, bring the diverse characters that have been in the background out there. What are your thoughts on some of the things that you've seen so far, like with Black Panther, the one that they just released, Shang-Chi,
Shang-Chi?
Yeah, Shang-Chi. Yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but like I said, I've heard kind of mixed reviews, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. But what is your thought now on, like I said, I guess just the beginning of the rise? I like to say they still have a long way to go, but I guess they're on the right track. What are your kind of thoughts on it?
Well, of course, I was thrilled with Ryan Coogler's Black Panther. Before I knew it, I had seen it 4 times at the movie theaters, like I was a little 10-year-old, and people were starting to get annoyed at me coming to the same cinema to see it. So yeah, I was tremendously refreshed by Black Panther.
Yeah.
As far as the effort that has been made by Marvel and DC in the comic venue, I like the actions that they've taken, not so much the execution. Look, just to be real short about it, you can tell when somebody is really writing something because they're trying to entertain, and you can tell when somebody's trying to manufacture something because they want to make money.
Yeah.
And I don't go for the manufactured stuff. I mean, it's like, I'm not even feeling that. I'm not making a connection with it. Like I said, I shied away from Luke Cage because I was like, yo, that's not the Luke Cage that I grew up with. Now, a new generation might catch on to it and like it. I'm becoming a folky stogie, so I didn't like Shang-Chi. I went to see that movie a couple weeks ago.
And I'm gonna throw this on up here. Blaze 8203. I appreciate obviously your
Blaze, I agree.
he
Yeah, I
says
agree.
Shang, like I said, I haven't seen it yet, and to be all honest, I'm it wasn't like a comic or a superhero that I even knew about or anything like that. So
Yeah.
from the story point of view, I can't really give my opinion. I mean, I'm gonna go check it out just as a kind of moviegoer to see. And like I said, I've heard mixed reviews about it one way or the other. Of course, I haven't heard like what the overall Asian community thinks of it as a
Right.
character in a whole. And I was just commenting on this on a post the other day. It's going to be interesting to hear, what the overwhelming Asian community thinks about it and such.
I tell you like this. I didn't mean to laugh so heartily at that last comment. Uh, I'll put it to you like this. The reason why I agreed and kind of chuckled there was because I was a huge Shang-Chi fan as a kid.
Yeah,
You know why I was a huge Shang-Chi fan?
yeah,
Because Marvel was capitalizing at the time on the black exploitation films, like with Luke Cage.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
He was like Shaft with superpowers.
yeah.
And Shang-Chi was basically Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee. Yeah, yeah,
And I liked Bruce Lee, and I picked up Shang-Chi faithfully. I read that comic. And you know what? Shang-Chi to me was more of a James Bond meets John Wick. A lot of secret societies. I understand that Fu Manchu became kind of like a racial stereotype or slur, so they couldn't use him.
yeah.
But and Marvel lost the rights to use him anyway. But I like the whole, like Bruce Lee's character from Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
That's what Shang-Chi was supposed to be like.
Yeah.
Now, Iron Fist is the more fantastical character, connected to magic realms and hidden cities and such. And I think that, because I'm an MCU fan, I think they kind of have painted themselves into a corner because now they've kind of merged Shang-Chi and Iron Fist, their stories together. And that don't work for me. But
Yeah.
hey, it's out there killing it right now. With the box office gross and everything. So I'm a Marvel fan, and I wish them luck. Either way, I want them to succeed because they've created something that has brought me tremendous happiness.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And what you were saying about Black Panther, I think it was even so much more than the story in and of itself. What really impressed me, and I guess really kind of just made me feel good, was that it was a black cast, a black director, black production people. It was primarily black people that were creating it. Just let me know that, wow, we can create some really amazing things.
Go back to our conversation last night. There haven't been a ton, obviously, of black superhero movies.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been some here or there that maybe we don't know about. As far as I'm concerned, the first really, because people will say, well, there was Meteor Man. Man, ain't nobody checking for Meteor Man. Nobody worried about that. People want to get in arguments. To me, you know what I'm saying, too. To me, the first legit black superhero movie, bottom line, was Blade.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that, like you were saying, too, it caught a lot of people off guard because they didn't think it would be as big as it was. And to
it caught Marvel off guard.
He did an amazing job. Actually, I know, I think they're supposed to be revamping it and bringing it back out. I kind of heard he was supposed to be kind of tied into it some kind of way, whether he does or not. I don't know, but I'm kind of like with you.
My dude from Luke Cage is supposed to be playing him. I forget, he won the Oscar. Yeah,
I know who
forget
you're
his
talking.
name.
Yeah,
Can't
I know who
believe
you're
I forget
talking
his name.
about.
Yeah,
But yeah, Blade did such, or Wesley Snipes did such an iconic way of playing Blade. It just,
he
like I
did.
said, caught a lot of people off guard. You know.
Yeah, but the fact that uh, they use an a predominantly black cast, use black technicians, black costume makers, the whole nine, that shouldn't be taken too lightly. That was a great opportunity for a lot of people who've never been able to do that.
Yeah.
And like we were saying, there are people that want to get into this industry, not only the movie industry, but the comic book industry.
Yeah.
But when you go to show somebody your resume, it's like, well, I published these books, or, I've never been in this industry, but I'm a pretty good writer. Well, where's your resume?
Yeah.
Well, you probably weren't hiring a whole lot of black people before. I mean, you know it, I
Yeah.
know it. So where am I going to get the experience from other than making it myself?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of why I'm in the position that I'm in.
Yeah.
I came out of college and I'm like, yeah, I want to write comic books, but I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any connections, so I just kind of wafted back to what my father said. Oh, well, you don't, that's not a lane that's open for you.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm glad your show is here. That's why I'm glad I'm on here, because if there's anything I can do to help a younger kid, not just black,
Yeah.
white, Latino, Asian, whatever, you can do it. You just got to start working on it.
Yeah.
And you got to start making connections, and you got to let people know. You can't be afraid to let people know, I want to be a comic book writer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to be a comic book artist.
Yeah.
Open your mouth and seek out people who can mentor you and help you figure out what steps to take.
Yeah. Trust me, I guess that's why, like I said, I love our conversation, because we're kind of cut from the same kind of cloth there.
Definitely.
But just like you and what your dad said, it's going to take you creating it. Like I said, when I got started, I definitely didn't see anybody or any characters that, just reflected me. So it just made it so much of a learning curve that, okay, I didn't see comic. And when I would say, I want to be a comic strip artist, I want to be a comic cartoonist. It's just, you get those kind of looks like, okay, you want to be
really? That's nice.
Yeah, really, but
potatoes.
You don't let that, I didn't let that stop me from, drawing my own comics, submitting them. I got a ton of rejections, but submitting them and just creating my own comic. And to that point, do you feel like it's going to take people of color and diverse backgrounds creating their own content and just, putting it out there?
Yes, definitely. Because you don't have time to wait. Who knows how much longer this is going to take for them to, and I don't mean them as a monolithic white presence. I mean, there's all types of people that are working in comics now.
Yeah.
Black people, Latinos, Asians, but there's a certain attitude and a certain control on the material they're putting out. Like, ask yourself, why isn't there a Blade comic book right now?
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Blade would be a #1 selling comic book with the right artist, with the proper writer,
Yeah.
But that's just not something they want to pay attention to right now.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not really intrigued by any of the kind of reaches for diversity that Marvel is giving me right now, because you've already got cool black characters.
Yeah.
Let's face it, Marvel's got the coolest black characters on the market.
They do. Yeah, and I think that's been kind of the misstep. They've let them sit on the shelf and really didn't develop the character and who they could be.
Right.
Is where they misstep. For you, Because I know how big, like I said, when I first came across them and really started getting into their comics, like Milestone and Dwayne McDuffie and what they were doing with their universe. How, what did you think, or did that have an impact on you when they started producing Static and all the other, black characters and superheroes in their world? What did that do? Um, or what did that say to you, and how did that impact you?
Well, at the time, uh, I had already been impacted uh, by Brother Man.
Hmm.
Did you ever read Brother Man?
Yeah.
Uh, by the brother Dawood? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you pronounce it Anyabwile is his last name, but it's Dawood. He created Brother Man Comics, and um, wow, when I saw Brother Man, and I didn't even buy it at a comic book store. I bought it like at a uh, like an African Muslim
Mm.
specialty store.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where they're selling the
Dashiki.
incense
Yeah.
and
Incense and
yeah,
oils and yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
correct. Yeah, my comic book still smells like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so I came home and I was reading it, and the artwork was like a combination of graffiti and Jack Davis,
Mm.
and it was, dude, it was like stepping into an alternate dimension, and it was like Spike Lee did a comic book, and I was like, yo, this is hot. So, and if you remember, that was during the time Image Comics was hot too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Milestone came in on the back of that, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't as irreverent as Brother Man. Okay, so it was kind of safer than
Yeah.
Brother Man,
Yeah.
uh, and it did not turn me on as much as a book like Brother Man at the time. So, but I did enjoy them. I thought they were masterful. Hardware was my favorite,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I did like Static and I did like Icon. Um, I liked what they wanted to do with Blood Syndicate. That was pretty cool,
Yeah.
but I don't think they ever accomplished what that concept would be. And they had to kind of work against Image at the time. And Image, they were just pumping out great artwork, and so their comics looked slicker.
Yeah.
It looked a little bit cooler,
Yeah.
and I think Milestone fell between the cracks stylistically, which I thought would have been the reverse with a bunch of brothers drawing stuff. I thought it would have been they would be on the cutting edge.
Yeah.
I tell you what I really liked. Do you remember Tribe by Larry Strowman?
Yeah. Yeah.
Image Comics did a comic book called Tribe. I think it's one of the highest selling black comic books ever published. I could be wrong. That might have changed by now. But Tribe was really cool.
Yeah.
And it kind of plugged into the current, and I mentioned this last night in our conversation, the current hip hop culture.
Yeah.
And if you look at it now, you can see the fashion, and everything. And it was cool, but it didn't last. It didn't last more than 3 issues. But my kids were coming up when the Static Shock cartoon was introduced.
Yeah.
Yo, that was a necessary event every Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Quite like The Color of Motion at 3:00 Central Standard Time.
Hey, hey. Now, do you think, because, like I said, it seems like the majority of the comic book artists and writers that I've connected with and started to come across are kind of going that self-publishing route. Do you think that's the route where, these type of comics are going to be seen and heard? Because we talked about this again yesterday as far as distribution, and that being kind of, did you see that as kind of the tipping point of why we're such a certain level still tied to these major studios. It could be from cartoons to film, um, because we don't control distribution or have the access that, say, DC has or the Marvel has or Disney has or Sony, that type of thing.
I would tell you this. It's always a safe buy buying something you know. I've been passed by so many, and you would think, now, my books are available for anybody to buy.
Yeah.
You know, I want everybody to enjoy my comics.
Yeah.
But there's a special part of me that does want brothers and sisters to pick up my book and be like, oh, okay, I can't get this at Marvel or DC. You know, let me grab this and let me put Lucius Hammer on my son's birthday cake, and let me get some, Harlem Shadow wallpaper for, I want to appeal to that part of the market, but you need advertising.
Yeah.
You need marketing. And, I just don't have that type of bread.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marvel and DC know this.
Yeah.
That's why they control, think about this. Think about when we were introduced as consumers to Iron Man. Nobody knew who Iron Man was.
Yeah.
Nobody, and furthermore, nobody knew who Tony Stark was. But the huge machine that is Marvel and now Disney,
yeah,
began acquainting us with Tony Stark. Now you can walk into any household and talk to any mom, dad, grandma, whoever. Who's Tony Stark? That's Robert Downey Jr. I love him.
Yeah.
Now I would love to do the same thing with Lucius Hammer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't have that money.
Yeah.
So remember we talked the other night about hip hop and how I kind of likened, the early entrepreneurs in hip hop to some of these comic book creators right now. I think that you can't worry about the marketing because if you do, you're never going to have the money to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what you got to do is make a solid, hot product. And I don't even want to call it a product. You got to tell a story, man.
Yeah.
Stories appeal to people. Stories are timeless, universal. If you can, if it just like hip hop, those people didn't have any, people like, Furious 5 and Cool Herc and, Run DMC and LL Cool J.
Cool
Man, you remember back in the day when we were coming up, they were selling tapes out of the trunk of their car.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and like you said, we talked about this the other day. Just they hustled. They sold their records and got them pressed and say, hey, if I have to drive around the neighborhood selling these cassettes and stuff, that's how I'm gonna do it. And that's how they became big, because they had a following of people that just loved their music.
And they had now let's not forget the other elements. They had kind of a reckless confidence, because it was like, you don't know what I'm doing. You don't know how to produce this. You need me to show you how to do this. So come follow me. And then some rappers were profane. Some rappers sold sex. Some rappers sold just having a good time.
Yeah.
Some rappers sold drug usage and other things, but those were things that we now take for granted. But back when hip hop was dawning, those were all things that we were like, oh, I'm gonna go get that. I'm gonna go get that 12-inch, or I'm gonna go tape that. I'm gonna stay up late and record this show so I can play this in my car. And it was kind of like you were sneaking to do something that you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. I did that with Richard Pryor.
Yeah. You felt like you were tapped into something that nobody, like not the average person, could get or access.
Yeah.
That's what I think Black creators and more forward people of color need to do with their products.
Yeah.
bypass Marvel and DC because you're never going to destroy them or beat them.
Yeah.
But deliver something different, something lively, something that they're not doing or even capable of doing.
Yeah.
Or even willing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, and to that point, and because, like I said, we touched on so many things in the conversation that we've had, do you feel like the fact that we are creating our own content, that this is such a good time for content creators? Because I make that point a lot to artists or designers now that are wanting to work at studios, which is fine, but you don't necessarily have to wait on them to get your content out there if you have an idea in your mind, because we live in such a world today where we got so much access in so many different areas, whether it be social media, YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is, getting your content out there now. What do you feel about this time and space that we live in now?
Well, my opinion on content creation, first of all, I want to say this. I've been dying to say this. Is I hate the word content creation, and I hate the word intellectual property. I know they become catchphrases and buzzwords in media and in our current pop culture generation.
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer to call them ideas or stories, and because it just makes them, to me, it makes them seem cold and plastic. When you say an intellectual property, like I said, you shouldn't just be doing this because you want to create a property. You shouldn't just be doing this because you want to make money. Because I got news for you. Got news for you. You ain't making money right off the rip unless you just get lucky. You hit a home run. What was popular just 3 or 4 months ago on Amazon? Robert Kirkman, Invincible.
Mm.
Robert Kirkman created Invincible back in, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was maybe around 2006, 2008.
Yeah.
Even a guy like him who has The Walking Dead and
nobody,
him,
I don't even think, unless you were a Walking Dead fan, knew who Robert Kirkman was until Walking Dead came on the scene.
Correct. So if it takes that guy that long to get his property developed, don't try to create something and be like, okay, when's the money come? You know what? You cannot go in with that thought. You got to go in with the thought that, hey, what's out there that's needed, or what do I love that I want to talk about and share with people through my stories and my characters. I love superheroes. Why do I love superheroes? The tale of the superhero is a metaphor for what we talked about earlier, our human journey. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You know why people love Spider-Man? Because, he's late on his rent. Green Goblin just busted his butt in the alleyway. Jonah Jameson hates him. He's having problems with his girlfriend. Aunt May is 5 seconds away from finding out he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's got issues. So we identify with Spider-Man, and that's why he's become a global phenomenon. But guess what? When was Spider-Man created? 1963?
Yeah.
Do you know how long it's taken him to have a big budget movie? You can't create it for the money or the fame. You got to create it because you feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you feel it, it will resonate. And one day, somebody's going to have the good sense, the common sense to adapt something like that and exploit it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I think of it.
So with that, where did the Harlem Shadow originate from you? I mean, what was the genesis that caused you to create? Like I said, people, it's a great story. You gotta definitely, and we're gonna put links to all of this stuff
Yeah,
where you can get
thank you.
it on the show team,
Appreciate that.
on the show notes. But you definitely, because like I said, when I went through the issues and started reading it, it's just so engaging of a character. What was the
Right.
genesis for you when you came up with the Harlem Shadow?
Oddly enough, the Harlem Shadow was a background character. I didn't give it a second thought. Um, the Harlem Shadow appeared in the first issue of Lucius Hammer. Um, and I needed, as a writer, as I'm trying to delineate Lucius Hammer's voyage and how he became a superhero, he needed somebody to influence him. So Lucius Hammer in the comic book returns home from World War II, and he's getting his shoes shined, and he's reading a black newspaper called the Midnight Sun. And the Midnight Sun describes a black vigilante that's stalking Harlem and putting up some opposition to underworld figures. And the paper has nicknamed him the Harlem Shadow. And it's at that point where Lucius Hammer is like, that's what I want to be. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to use my collective superpowers and my talents and abilities to fight crime and to perhaps uplift the black community. And so I went to the Wizard World Comic-Con. I believe it was in 2008, summer of 2008. And man, people are mobbing my table already for Lucius Hammer.
Yeah.
But, when you go to a Comic-Con, you buy your little stack of comics, then you go sit in the corner and you read your books, go get some lunch, come back and buy some more stuff. People were coming back to me and were like, yo, man, Lucius Hammer, wow, this is great. But, yo, let me holler at you. When you going to come out with a book about the Harlem Shadow? And I was like, I don't know. It cost me a lot of money to do this book. Slow down. But I recognized at the time that, I should jump on this.
Yeah.
So I said, let me go ahead and write a story for the Harlem Shadow. Well, I told you about my artist, Christian Colbert, who helped me create the look of all these heroes.
Yeah.
I cannot thank Christian Colbert enough. Christian,
yeah,
my hat's off to you. I love you. You my white brother from another mother.
And we're gonna dive into a lot of the artwork from his characters in a minute, but go ahead and finish the story there.
Well, he couldn't draw. He couldn't take on the art chores for the Harlem Shadow, so he said he would just do the covers.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go find another artist, and I, at the time, there was a website called Digital Webbing. You get on Digital Webbing and you say, hey, I need an artist to draw a black and white comic book, and I wanted to do it in black and white because it takes place in the 20s, during the Harlem Renaissance. So, and I wanted to give that noir
feel.
visual effect.
Yeah.
So this dude comes out of the ether named Rodolfo Buscaglia. I'll say that again for the people at home. Rodolfo Buscaglia. And
it flows off the tongue.
Yeah. And he was an ace, man. He could draw. You know how Frank Miller did Sin City?
Yeah.
And he capitalized on the blacks and whites. Man, Rodolfo Buscaglia must have went to the Frank Miller, Frank Miller
Academy.
Yeah, because he hit me with these very, atmospheric, noir, pulpy style images, and I said, that's my dude. And man, once again, hats off to Rodolfo, because he's been hanging with me for all this time, and he's like ready to go whenever, because it's hard for an independent guy to fund his books.
Yeah.
So, I'll send Rodolfo a little money and be like, yo, can you do 2 more pages? And I might get back with him 2 months later.
Yeah.
But he stays at the ready, man. I think he loves the character. Plus, him and I have become friends over time.
Yeah.
And he's been a great help to me. So to answer your question, the Harlem Shadow wasn't not an accident, but it was kind of, hey, let me roll with this enthusiasm that I've built for the character in this first issue of Lucius Hammer.
Yeah.
But also, it also occurred to me, if a black superhero, the first black superhero was to emerge in America, Harlem Renaissance has got to be the place. Yeah. As soon as I had that thought, I was like, that's gold.
Yeah.
That's gold.
Yeah.
So that's the origin behind that.
And to the point that you just made, do you feel like that's the big challenge that most independent comic book creators face, is funding their things themselves and trying to do it a bit at a time? And I guess it kind of folds back into, that the point I made earlier, as far as, companies like DC and MCU have all this funding to really, just put, not, money into comics or movies or whatnot. But for you, is that the kind of challenge, really funding these things yourself and kind of, doing it, kind of inching along? Or do you find that that's better because it helps you kind of really flesh out and own the characters even more, so that when they just bust out, it's running like a horse?
Well, let's put it to you like this. If I went to the casino tonight and hit a lick for $50,000, which, I hate to say it, $50,000 ain't even really no money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My employer is probably listening, but if I hit
you go through 50,000 really quick.
If I hit a $50,000 lick, I would take a chance on my talent and the people that I know, and I'd bet if I had 6 months to focus and to just write and collaborate with the artists that I've created, the artists that I have gathered into my fold here, I think I could create a sound intellectual property.
Yeah.
I said that word. That would carry me to the next sound intellectual property, and so on.
Yeah.
So yes, money is definitely a factor, because it frees up time. It frees up this. If you ain't worried about bills, if you're not worried about really, your kids and what they have to do, because to me, my kids are job one.
Yeah.
And I have older kids. My youngest is in college right now. She's 19, but you know what? If I got $20 in my wallet, she's got 19.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just it. So now there's a new thing out there called Kickstarter. It's not new, but you know what it is.
Yeah.
Kickstarter, Indiegogo.
Yeah.
And I'm going to answer your question before you ask me, why haven't I done it? Because I'm weird. I think that I have to earn somebody's money before I ask for some.
Yeah.
And I want people to be truly engaged in the product I've created. Now, I'm at that point where I'm ready to do a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to do one, and I'd like to ask for your participation when I do one.
No, definitely. We're going to share it on not only in the group, but like I said, really promote it. Because
Yeah.
and it's interesting that you said that because, like I said, a couple of the guests that I have had on have done Kickstarters that's helped to fund, I guess, the issue and
Yes.
things that they were working on to guess move them. You know, it wasn't a big windfall that okay we can do like just everything, but it
Right.
funded the next thing that they were going to do, which brings me to the point of saying, you know, this time that we live in, you know, because of all the different things that we have available to us now as the independent artists to get our content out there, um, such as Kickstarter to fund whether it's a comic book or a short film or whatever it is that we're doing. It's such a great time for content creators.
Right. Hang on, I got a spam call. There we go. Um, it is a great time, um, but I call it. I call this the glamour shot effect. Everybody ain't built for this writing game.
No.
Everybody ain't built for this art game.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that want to be this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there who uh, are creating comics just to remember that old photo studio called Glamour Shots.
Yeah.
Where they would take one shot of you looking this way, and then another shot you would be like this. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just want to create a comic book to say they created one and go to a convention, and of course that's cool. That's cool, but then you also get a lot of excess out there, which I don't know. I don't know if that's, to me, I think that's probably good for the industry because that kind of lights a fire behind Marvel and DC and IDW, Dark Horse, and Boom. Let them know, hey man, there's a whole lot of people out here creating resumes and also creating ideas and stories where there weren't before.
Yeah.
And then they may pull attention away from us. They may swipe some of the money off the table that we could have had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, anytime there's competition, I think the audiences benefit because you have more content.
Yeah.
Think about Hulu and Netflix and HBO Max.
Yeah. And
but you know what? Have you ever said to yourself, "Damn, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Hulu. I'm gonna cancel one of these because I'm not watching all of these. There's no way I can do it."
Like I said, it spawns this kind of snowball effect when one does it. Okay, he's making some money doing that. Maybe we need to create a streaming channel. And it's just like I said, it's they follow how content is consumed. And they're going to go with, okay, the mass people are starting to, like you said, hit these independent, places. A lot of people are starting to watch YouTube just to watch, content that they normally wouldn't get on the typical service. So they're going to start to create their own type of thing to garner those people back.
Right. One of the great things that I like about all of the content that's out there is, man, comic books used to get dogged.
Yeah.
In the arena of public opinion. Do you remember back in the day, if you wore a superhero shirt or something somewhere, you would get straight clown. Look at this nerd. Or look at this. Look at this jerk. With the Batman shirt on.
Yeah.
Now the geeks are the coolest dudes in the room.
Yeah.
The coolest ladies in the room.
Yeah.
And that's refreshing because back in the day I used to like. I ain't even gonna front on you. I used to hide the fact that I read comic books, when I was, in high school, and And in college, I just started not to give a damn. At that point, I was like, hey, I'm not going to run around and tiptoe. But it wasn't something that people acknowledged with any respect. Now comic books get respect.
Yeah.
Largely because I think really because of Marvel.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Marvel, because they really just busted the door open and just, like you said, when I was growing up, I didn't really hide the fact that, because everybody knew I was a Peanuts fan. I mean, from because I was just a Peanuts fan. I love Charles Schultz. I love Snoopy, Charlie Brown, and everybody knew it. But I think, like you said, it wasn't the normal thing. It kind of puts you in this kind of, I don't know, not what your typical black kid would normally like, but it's just, that's what I loved. And like I said, I couldn't think of any other thing that I loved or just wanted to share. So, and I think, like you said, until Marvel came out and really started putting, Iron Man just busted the door wide open, and everybody just started getting into it. Once Iron Man became a hit, they saw, okay, well, we got all these superheroes, so we got a long run ahead of us, with just movies.
Exactly. And you know what? To be honest, if you look at, and this is my long range plan for the comics that I'm writing. My comics are basically commentary on the comics I've read over the years.
Yes. Yeah.
So you'll see traces of different things that you experienced in different comic book ages: the Silver Age, the Golden Age, the Modern Age, the Image Comics age, the 90s, which was a crazy time. I'm kind of reflecting on some of the things that I experienced as a reader, things that I liked, storylines that I liked, but I'm also suggesting what was going on with the black superheroes at this time.
Yeah.
How did they feel about the Infinity Gauntlet? Well, and I'm just trying to show an example. Yeah. How did they feel about, dimension altering wars that happened between these planets, and how did that affect the black community of superheroes?
Yeah.
And Lucius Hammer's in the middle of all that.
Yeah. Now it's an interesting perspective that, like you said, hasn't been shown from that point of view. And I do want to make a kind of a point to show a lot of the graphics that are with your comics, because they're, like I said, along with the great writing, the artwork is, it's definitely eye-catching for sure. And this was, like I said, the Harlem Shadow, very illustrated. Was this the...
Now, can I comment on that?
Yeah, comment on it, because I want to know.
Okay, so this is the very first artist I ever collaborated with. When I decided I was going to try to do my own book.
Yeah.
This is the first guy that I kind of like seriously endeavored with the creative property. His name is Billy Dallas Patton. You know what? I shouldn't say that. My other friend KP helped me begin this idea that I was working on about the werewolf. And then I met Billy Dallas Patton, and he kind of helped finish up.
Yeah.
So KP and Billy Dallas Patton, hats off to both of y'all. Y'all helped me get moving. But Billy Dallas Patton did this piece of art, and it was part of a wraparound cover that I was going to put on issue 3 of the Harlem Shadow, which I haven't delivered yet. But it's a piece of art that I love, and I sent this to you. There's a whole cityscape behind him in another version.
We're gonna show that too.
Yeah. But I love this. I love the smoking guns. I love you know you've read comics, so you know there's a masked men genre
Yeah,
within comics,
yeah,
in a
yeah.
noir genre. I wanted to have the first superhero who had a zoot suit. Uh,
and,
in
and and
the genre.
and to that credit, what I really also loved about the Harlem Shadow is he was almost kind of um Bat Batman esque. He didn't really
Yes,
have superpowers, but he was this superhero. He didn't have like he didn't fly. He didn't do the typical kind. Wasn't an alien or anything like that. But he fought crime and had this super strength about him and super swagger about him.
well, I've got a lot of surprises ahead in store for people that enjoy the Harlem Shadow. Um, yes, if I were to give you a couple of superheroes I patterned him after, you're right. Batman is one of them. Are you familiar with Will Eisner's The Spirit?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, The Spirit, and of course, one of my favorites, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, imagine uh, a black man in World War One being part of a special program called the Black Book Project,
Mm,
where people are black soldiers. They're not participating in the war at that time, but they're being asked to participate in experiments. Well, Lyndon Somerset, the man who eventually becomes the Harlem Shadow, is asked to go to Tibet and live with a sect of monks who supposedly can, uh, walk on walls, teleport, um, you know, uh, mentally read people's minds, and so forth, things of that nature. So, uh, hopefully, in mid 2022, I'm going to work on a 48-page graphic novel called
mm.
Secret Journey
Oh wow.
that will describe where his powers come from. Kind of like in Batman Begins when
Yeah,
Christian Bale, you
yeah.
know, we've got something going on like that, but a few more wrinkles and surprises.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to that myself, for sure. Like I said, and this was an interesting character, I thought too, in
Yeah,
Lucius Hammer.
yeah,
And I have another more. I think. Well, we'll get back to this, but I want to go through some of these, and we're going to come back to some of these characters that you created to kind of
certainly.
dive in. But I want to quickly give people just a snapshot of the worlds that you created and the characters that you created. And this is Lucius Hammer and his
Yeah.
partner here. But some of the characters, another great shot of Lucius Hammer. Um,
Once
uh,
again by Billy Dallas Patton.
such great artwork. I die.
Yeah.
And is and that and that to lead to another question, is that a challenge finding that right artist that fits that idea that you have in mind? I mean, was it a challenge for you saying, like you said, this is it? He captured exactly what I had in my head.
Right. Okay. So a couple of things. Um, yeah, it's difficult because I'm hard headed and I want what I want.
Yeah.
And there's no sense in doing this if you're gonna compromise your vision. And sometimes artists are like, yeah, man, whatever. Okay, I'll pass on this project. So it takes a very special artist to work with me, but I think they find it rewarding once they see my dedication to the writing and the character.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, Christian Colbert uh, helped me design Lucius Hammer, and I think you'll get a kick out of this. Christian Colbert is originally from Cleveland.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
I'm glad this.
wait a minute. So look at Lucius Hammer's costume and tell me what you see.
Let's
The
see here.
color, the browns.
Browns, baby. Hey,
Yeah, yeah.
hey, man. man after my own heart. Throws in his own little kind of thing there. Hey, little shout out to the Brownies. Don't hate on
That's
us.
right.
You know, we don't.
Well, he was trying to throw a little. He was trying to kick a little sand on me because I'm a Bengals fan. You know, you two Ohio boys.
You know.
But that's cool because the costume is dope, and
No.
you know, I like the character, but I have and you know, Christian and I had an imprint called Raven Hammer Comics. We published 2 issues of the Harlem Shadow, 2 issues of Lucius Hammer, and then because of money and because of many other reasons, I actually went through a divorce during the time we got started. Um, uh, we split ways. We tried to stick together, but you know, you know, the Beatles broke up, and so did me. So did Christian and I. He's still a good friend of mine. We still do projects together, you know, or pieces together, you know, here and there. But for the longest time, I couldn't get over Christian.
Yeah.
Because of his visual style.
Yeah.
No artist would add up.
Yeah.
You know. And that's another reason for my long sabbatical, you know, because I didn't want to just do it with any artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don, I paid a guy $900 or $1,000 for 8 pages that I just didn't use.
Wow.
Because he just and this guy's a wonderful professional artist.
Yeah.
He's a friend too. But I didn't like the look.
Yeah. Yeah.
It didn't capture the same flavor that Christian had. So yeah, to answer your question, it's hard.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's where the real magic comes in, when you connect with that artist, that just his art and your writing just sync up in such a way that just makes something magical, for sure.
My dream is that hopefully, as we straighten out our somewhat complicated lives, as we all do, we all have complicated lives, once he gets to a certain stature and does some things, and I do the same, hopefully we'll get back together and produce some quality comics. And I think we will.
Yeah. Another great character here from Lucius Hammer. Artwork is just superb. You can see the world that you're creating here. And like I said, we're going to kind of jump back and kind of talk about some of these. And this was the poster that I really loved.
Everybody does.
It was a dope poster. I have to say,
everybody does.
It was a dope poster. I have to say, great artwork for sure.
Machindo Kumba. We'll talk about him too later.
Yeah, another great character for sure. Like I said, you have such a flair for creating these characters and worlds that just you can visualize them in a series or a animated series or a film or something like that. So I have no doubt that, like I said, as these stories start to really get popular and flesh out, it's going to be a lot of great content coming forward, for sure. I can see.
Don, I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I'm counting on it.
I definitely believe it and can feel it. Such great characters that you just sit and kind of, like I said, what's the story behind her, and just there's a great story behind it, and you can just see it coming out. I kind of want to jump back to not this character, this one here. Because this was an interesting character in the fact that, you know, why you created him. Tell us a little bit about this character and the genesis of how he came into Lucius Hammer's world.
Okay, so every superhero needs a foil character or a good villain or a good adversary.
Yeah.
Okay. The American Way was my trope character. I wanted to tackle Captain America and Superman together. So I came up with this character who's been long associated with the government, kind of works hand in hand with the government. And when Lucius Hammer gets out of control, they turn the American way loose on him. And turns out they had run into each other during World War II.
Yeah.
So they've known each other, and American Way kind of anticipated that Lucius Hammer may be a problem down the line. So imagine if Charlton Heston was Superman. That's what the American Way is. He's law and order. He's old school. He's definitely old school.
Yeah.
And a little thing that I put in my story is superpowers are different in Lucius Hammer's world. Black folks tend to have different superpowers. Black folks the nature of their superpowers are more hereditary. They have longer lifespans. They don't occur because of accidents or anything like that. They're more of, they inherited some DNA from somebody in their family, and powers are passed down.
Yeah.
And I got the whole thing about the black superpowers and black superheroes being long lived from the famous saying that black don't crack. People always say that, boy, look at your grandmother. What? How old is she? She's 95. Boy, she looked like she's 75. Black don't crack.
Black don't crack, baby.
So, I was like, that's kind of cool. So black people have different reasons for their superpowers, and maybe connected to some type of ancestral trauma,
Yeah.
Like I have a storyline where some of these younger black kids in my universe can convert their skin to a super hard metal alloy because of being pursued and shot at by police. It's almost like an evolutionary trait.
Yeah.
American Way is slightly different. And I don't want to give away the whole story, but put it to you like this. The American Way has to go into a cryogenic stasis tube every 20 years. And he's got to rest for an entire year. And then on the 4th of July, we have this big old political parade, and we go awaken him, and he comes back and he's like, now here I am to save the day kind of deal.
Yeah.
But throughout that 20 years, he's out of the coffin or out of his tomb, he ages. So he has to be rejuvenated. Gotcha. And he has to hibernate for a year. So him and Lucius are not fond of each other. I
kind of picked that up in the comics.
Yeah. They're not fond of each other, but towards the end of all the things, the stories that I want to tell, I won't say they become friends, but they respect each other.
Yeah. Like you said, every, hero needs that kind of counterbalance on the other side of him. Because,
right.
Like you said, Batman wouldn't be Batman without the Joker. Superman wouldn't be, without Lex. Or, every superhero kind of has that other side to the coin. They still need each other to, like the Joker said, you complete me. We're each other.
Yeah.
So
I don't hate you.
Yeah, I couldn't hate you. What would I be without you?
Exactly. Yeah.
So and like I said, if you're just joining us, we've been going a good little while, hour and a half or longer than I normally do, and we've just scratched the surface of a lot of the stuff that I wanted to talk about, and that we did have talked about in some of the other conversations that I had before. And again, I'm definitely going to be sharing all his contact information, where you can get the comics. We definitely got to support this brother. Again, Brian
I
has been
appreciate
so
that.
gracious as to donate a couple of the other upcoming episodes as some swag items and some contest items for you guys. So definitely be looking for that. But if you're like me, like I said, you're just gonna get so engrossed in the comics and the stories. You're not gonna be able to. And the artwork is phenomenal. You're not gonna be able to put them down. But I have to say that, to the point that that's what it takes. It takes us supporting these kind of stories and independent idea creators
Right, right.
and story creators, because that's how it gets out and continues to have a life of its own. Where do kind of, and the good thing is, I'm definitely gonna have Brian back on the show. But where do you see, like, where's your kind of envision for this universe that you're creating?
Well, you know, everybody wants an animated series, a toy line, graphic novels. I've created this universe or family, if you will,
Yeah,
of black superheroes that spans history
yeah,
from the 1900s to now.
yeah,
Of course, I probably also have a future timeline as well, back in here somewhere.
yeah, yeah.
And I would like people to be able to purchase graphic novels of the Harlem Shadow, Lucius Hammer, uh, and some of the other characters we have coming down the slate. Very exciting characters that belong to the same universe.
Mm-hmm.
And you can read them separately, or you can read them as part of a whole. And, like I said, I was watching Invincible when everybody was going crazy over it back in the springtime. And I was thinking, I want to do I would love if somebody would approach me about the possibility of a Lucius Hammer animated series, because, I see it as a mixture of what they accomplished with Invincible and mixing it with the Boondocks. You
Mm,
know,
yeah,
it'd be a little bit of comedy, a little bit of history, and a little bit of superhero action. And that's the only way I'm going to spread this around.
yeah, yeah,
Spread this globally.
yeah.
And there are other avenues. There are people out there that are trying to push some of the indie books to the other side of the world and stuff like that. But, you know, I just want to tell good stories. I want to entertain people, and I want to show people a different side that the current comic book industry is
Yeah,
not paying attention to.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And like you said, I think there's just, with, I'd say this about any, race for culture, is they're deep with lore that can be, stories can be created from, and ideas can be created from. So, like I said, that's what I love seeing. You know, creators like you and others that are pulling these lores and stories and ideas of just the things that we wouldn't have thought of before, or and talking about them in a way that we probably wouldn't have talked about before or thought about before, and
right?
making it in an entertaining and engaging way. I think that's the beauty of not only comics but films. You can say an idea or uh, get your point across in a way that you know is entertaining and palatable for some people.
You
Um,
know, another thing I thought about, I want to see too, is one of some beautiful things that I saw when Black Panther came out. I saw this picture of these two younger black boys standing by the Black Panther poster and just looking at it like, wow.
Wow. Wow.
That's that I'd love to see some black kids looking at a poster of Lucius Hammer with that same awe, that delight, that pride. And I'd love to see white kids, because I saw white kids dressed up as Black Panther, and it was just like blowing me away. And I said, I'd like to see that too with Lucius Hammer, because you know what? I grew up loving and enjoying white superheroes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And race never affected my enjoyment of that. Race can only improve.
Yeah.
Like if you have black characters and you market them to not just black people, but people of all colors, they can also see how we think about ourselves, what our experiences are, and then we can have more dialogue. That's cliche to say, but we can.
Yeah.
And that tears down some of the nonsense that's going on in our country right now.
Yeah.
Because people understand each other better, and they got a better grip on, oh, that's why you don't like that, or that's why you do like that, or that's why they say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, it's just an icebreaker.
Yeah. And I always say, and you mentioned it before, a well-told story everybody likes. And I think that's what, made Black Panther so good. That, despite the fact that it was an all-black cast, it was a well-told story that everybody of every race could pull something that they feel out of it. Like I said, and that's what a well-told story do. We all laugh, we all cry, we all have the same feelings. So regardless of whether it's a Latino cast or Asian, or if we have that, we can relate in some way to that character and what he's going through and the stories, we're going to walk out of it with a different point of view and a different perspective of it, and something that we can all come together at a certain point and enjoy.
Exactly. And to all writers and artists that dabble in superheroes, as William Shakespeare once said, there's nothing new under the sun. The hero's journey is a template.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The hero is, embarks on an adventure. Okay. Yeah. On that adventure, there's numerous obstacles.
Yeah.
But with perseverance, he defeats all these obstacles and then acquires the Ark of the Covenant, the Infinity Gauntlet, Excalibur.
Yeah.
And then he or she returns home being a changed person.
Yeah.
That's the story we have been retelling our entire existence as human beings.
Yeah.
That's how we keep civilization together, because people have to have stories to rationalize what they're going through every day.
Yeah.
And to get through what they're going through. And if you can do that, if you can hit those buttons, you can engage a reader.
Yeah.
And you can make them look at these beautiful visuals that these artists are drawing too.
Yeah.
And it works together. It's a collective experience.
Yeah, and to that, point, lastly, it's just interesting that you said that, because I'm actually going through, I finished the book, and it's called, it's a marketing book, but he talks about, branding and marketing from a story point of view. And he lays out, why we love, how to make your business a good business. If you tell it in a story way, that's what engages people. And that's what keeps people. And he broke down, because he's a screenwriter, so he wrote like screenplays and stuff, but he broke down kind of the hero's journey. And just like you said, the hero has a problem that or the hero has this
A challenge or a
a
task.
challenge, or this disbelief that he can accomplish something, and he comes across a teacher or a mentor or somebody that shows him the potential in the way that they can go, and they solve that problem and eventually come back a changed person.
Correct.
And that, like I said, it's just this interesting journey, and like you said, it's just the format of what we all love, and that's what keeps us watching a movie. You wouldn't watch a movie if the hero didn't have any problem or anything
That's
he
right.
was trying to overcome or fix. You wouldn't
Exactly.
you wouldn't get it if, or you wouldn't think it was plausible if there wasn't somebody before him, like a Yoda, or somebody
Yes.
that showed him the true potential of who he is and the power he has inside. So that's why I
Correct.
love stories, because, like you said, it's just that's the framework. We just are so engrossed in the visual and the artwork of it that we don't think about the format or the structure, that's what keeps us engaged. It's the human experience of, we all have these challenges. We all need somebody that believes in us and is going to teach us and show us that you can overcome this challenge that you're facing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before you let me go, I want to say also a little shout out to Aurelio Mazzara. Um, he's the guy that drew that ridiculous version of Kilimanjaro with the gun and all the
Yeah,
bullets.
yeah, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
throw him back up there
yeah.
because it was a good it was a good
I
piece
gotta
of
say
artwork.
something about him because Aurelio is the Christian Colbert did that one, but go to the one where
Yeah.
he's got the machine gun and the bullets are flying everywhere.
Oh, okay. Is it
Not that one.
this?
It's an action packed. It's probably the most action packed picture you have. Um,
Let's see. Not that one. Not that one. I might not have put it on there. Let me see.
it was on there earlier, but I don't know.
Hmm. Don't think I.
Maybe you got it lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's the actual new artist for Lucius Hammer, and I also have a incredible colorist named Tiago Silva. There it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now this guy is the new artist for Lucius Hammer, and as you can see, I pretty much think I found the right guy to replace him.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. When I saw this, I almost was like, it was almost too much, Don. I said, good Lord.
It's a good Googa Mooga.
Yeah, good Google movie. Yeah. And he's going to be the new Lucius Hammer artist, and this is going to be Tiago Silva. I think, and it's a shame. I don't know exactly where they're from in South America. They're both from Brazil. So is Rodolfo Buscaglia, but they're going to be the new team, and I'm very happy and excited about the product you guys are going to get. So I just wanted to mention them. So
Definitely looking forward to that for
but
sure.
thank you again for including me in your family of, because I'm sure all these people like you just like I do, and we're gonna form what you call a community, and I'm glad to be a part of that.
Definitely, and like I said, and just like I encourage everybody else, I encourage you to join the Facebook group, because it
Yeah,
keeps, like I said, you engaged with everybody in the community as well. And my goal is, like I said, and I told you, and I tell everybody this, I don't have guests on, I have my friends on.
there we
And
go.
I'm just so happy and thankful that, one, we connected, and two, we just built this great kind of friendship and bond. And like I said, we have this thing, we just click, and
Yeah,
it's
gotcha.
not just an Ohio thing, although that's a
Right.
big part. But
Yeah, that's a good part.
I think, like I said, we have such a good conversation and good click together that I can't thank you enough, Brian, for being on. And like I said, I was just, when we connected and you said, "Hey, man, I'm gonna send you some comics," I was like, "Well, okay." He's gonna send me
Yeah.
some comics because, like I said, I talk to a lot, and while I love, uh, everybody's content and what they're doing, you were the first one to just ship me some comics and let me just check it out. And like I said, as soon as I opened up the books and went through them, I was just hooked on the story. So now I'm waiting on in bated breath, just like everybody else, for the new issues to come out and just see, not only Lucius's journey, but the Harlem Shadow and where you're taking
Yes.
him and all the other characters that you're creating in the world. I do want to throw a couple of comments on here. Mr. Brian did ask, or Mr. Blaze did ask a question. Hey Brian, what do you think about Shuri being the Black Panther? Which and it's interesting because I saw like a little clip of one of the scenes from Black Panther 2, which, if I remember, I don't think well, she probably will eventually, but I don't. They're introducing some different kind of character into Black Panther 2. And like I said,
Right.
it was just a kind of interesting thing. But I think everybody kind of thought, just as a natural progression, that she would be the next Black Panther. And it was just, man, I was just so heartbroken when Chadwick passed, because he just, man, like Wesley Snipes, he just was T'Challa. It just brought that role to life. You can't see anybody else in that role, which I will give Marvel credit to the fact that they're not going to try and digitize him or try
Right.
and replace that role out of respect
Right.
of what he did. I'll give them that much credit, because most people or most studios would have tried to use old footage to kind of stitch something together or just replace him. Okay. Which, I mean, they could, because obviously the Black Panther the mantle was passed down. So there is going to be a new Black Panther, but him in that role, you can't see anybody else in that role.
Um, Chadwick Boseman stepped in flawlessly and brought the professional actor class,
Yeah.
the Shakespearean swagger,
Oh man,
just,
it just
just.
made you
I
be
mean,
proud watching him.
it did, man, and I also loved him in his limited role in The Five Bloods.
Oh yeah,
Um,
great,
the
great.
guy,
Yeah, that
the
was
guy was
great
just
too.
the guy was just
Yeah.
phenomenal. There's no replacing him. As to answer the Blaze about Shuri, I'm mixed about that. Um, I'm mixed, and it's because I do want my sisters out there and black women to have their time to shine and their hero. But I don't want it to be because it's connected to another hero's success.
Yeah.
If you dig what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Now,
I kind of get what you're saying. Yeah.
Shuri is a great character. And you know what? They could try that and it winds up being massively successful and I could really enjoy it. But I'd much rather them create a different character. But Marvel has to cash in on the empire that Chadwick Boseman and Ryan Coogler initiated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I still don't see Shuri as being able to get them you know, the most for their dollar in this situation. I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen, and I could be completely wrong. But I think Marvel's going to resurrect Killmonger and make Michael B. Jordan the Black Panther. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen.
Yeah.
Not that I want that scenario to happen much either. We really don't have any good solutions in this
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be sitting there like, all right, boy, I sure wish Chadwick was still here.
I think everybody's gonna say, yeah, it's good,
Yeah.
but man, Chadwick just, like I said,
Rest in peace. Rest in peace,
yeah, rest in
Mr.
peace,
Bozeman.
brother. I mean, he just
Yeah.
transcended that role in such a way, and it was, and like you said, it was just so powerful seeing young kids. Wakanda forever, baby. Wakanda forever.
Bro, I start to
And just
tear up when I
people,
see that and hear that, man.
you know.
That's my stuff right there.
I tell you, it's funny, and you know, I'll kind of end it on this note. I saw, it was obviously, you know, before he passed, but he did um, damn, what's the talk show? Jimmy Fallon. They did,
Okay.
he did the Jimmy Fallon, and they did like a hidden camera thing after one of the premieres of Black Panther, and they had people come up to the poster and was just, you know, telling why it was such a big thing for them. And all of a sudden, Chadwick would come out from behind the screen and surprise them. Man, the looks on their faces. And one guy came up and was just talking about, man, you were just such an inspiration for me and my kids. And just to see a black man in superhero in this role. And then all of a sudden, Chadwick walks out behind the, you know, the poster, you know, Wakanda Forever. Is just the looks on, you know, the faces. It was just, you know, for me, just seeing the regality of it, just the scope of the movie, just him in the role, you know, Shuri just being just super smarter than Tony Stark's ever could be with the technology. Just, you know, I love, and I loved her from Walking Dead, but she's a phenomenal actress as well.
Well, I tell you this: if they do choose, I forget the name of the actress, but if they do select Shuri, it's damn sure going to be interesting, and she's a good actress. Yeah. So I'm going to support Marvel no matter what they do, because they did not have to make Black Panther. No. If you remember, a few years ago, one of the execs there was like, "Yeah, Wakanda. It's just we're just not able to replicate Wakanda on screen." Yeah. And it's like, what are you talking about? You replicated Asgard. You don't think you can do Wakanda? Man, some of these people that had these jobs.
Oh man! But see, it takes somebody like Ryan Coogler coming in and really showing that vision of what Wakanda could be, and what I'll give this to his credit, Kevin Feige and MCU. What I really love about the MCU is how they tie all of these stories in with each other, and show. I can't remember. I think it was in Iron Man 2. They were showing a map of something, and Wakanda was on the map. So it's how they throw in these little Easter eggs that lead to all these other movies that they're doing, and connecting this world in that way. I find it interesting and really, you know.
Did you read comics when you were? I mean, did you keep up with the Marvel comics throughout the 70s and 80s? And
like I said, Spider-Man and really the X-Men were and some of Luke Cage's were really kind of the only ones. I really didn't get. I had comics. I was more a comic strip.
That's right.
Person more than I was a comic book.
The reason why I bring that up to you is because Marvel is great because their writers and their artists created this world before the movies.
Yeah.
See, anytime these MCU movies stray from the comic books, they go down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you stick to the comic books, you could be reading a Captain America comic book, and you will see a view screen behind Captain America, and it would have the Hulk's face on it.
Yeah.
You know, with no explanation. It was just there to show you that this is a cohesive universe. And that's what makes people feel part of something, a greater tapestry. And that's why people keep coming back to Marvel movies.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, man, me and you be on here all day.
We done already
say that to everybody, don't
you? You done already got the record at 2 hours.
I apologize.
No, like I said, we haven't even scratched the surface of half the tough stuff that we talked about. But again, I definitely try and take my audience into consideration and my guests into consideration, and plus it gives me a chance to have you back on for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely, if you could hang out in the green room for just while I close out the show, so I can talk to you again afterwards. But everybody, again, all this information and connections. Oh, before I let you go, for sure, you can connect with my man here. Let me get this on here. He is definitely, make sure you go to Soulhammer Comics. Check out a lot of his stories there and support this brother, because he's got a lot of great things coming down the pipe, and we definitely want to lift him up. You can also connect with him on LinkedIn, which is where I did. Brian-Williams Soulhammer. He's also on Instagram, Lucius Hammer, and Facebook.com, Lucius Hammer. And you can also reach out to him through email, Brian Williams at the Harlem Shadow.
Another thing that I just started recently, I jumped in with everybody else and created a Substack. So I'm writing a lot of blogs and stuff.
Okay.
At a Substack. Every now and then I'll write a movie review. I'll write a kind of a critical piece here and there on pop culture, or I'll show some exclusive art from Lucius Hammer or the Harlem Shadow. Gotcha. I'm not going to be posting so much art anymore on Instagram. So my Substack is called Super Gangster.
And we're going to get that. We're going to get the link from him so we can make sure that we put it in the show notes as well. But Super Gangster, I love it. Can't beat that, man. That so falls into you, Brian.
Right.
Super Gangster. But make sure, like I said, all this stuff is going to be in the show notes for sure. But make sure that you, again, do connect with this brother. Check out his work. Like I said, I cannot say this enough. Such great stories and artwork. Make sure I get it in front of the camera. Great stories and artwork. And like I said, I can't wait for the next issues to come out. And again, like I said, he has graciously agreed to donate a couple of issues for some contests and giveaways. So look for those in the future as well.
Yes, sir.
And again, Brian, like I said, I so appreciate you for your friendship, and so appreciate you being a part of the Color of Motion family and making this show as good. I couldn't do what I do without you and all the other friends that I have on. So I definitely want to thank you for that.
Likewise, sir. Thank you for having me, and I'll hang out here in the green room and we'll chat. We'll chat a little bit more.
Yeah, I tell you. Well, everybody, please join me in thanking Brian for being on the show, and can't wait to have him back on for sure soon. Guys, this has been, let me get this up here. This has been, like I said, a great episode. Like I said, we went 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. Like I said, sorry, Sean, he crushed your record for sure. And I may have to slice this into 2 episodes here myself, but it was so much fun. Like I said, I love connecting with Brian. Super talented writer. And a great friend. So I can't thank him enough for being on the show. I can't thank you enough for checking out the show for sure. Again, make sure that you become part of the community. Facebook.com/group/The Color Emotions. There you will get a chance to connect with Brian because he's going to be a part of the community just like everybody else on the show. I try and get to be a part of the community as well too. And again, we'll probably be doing a contest just in the group of some of his content that he's going to share with us for sure. So I want to make sure that you're a part of the community. Also, again, make sure you connect with me on all my social channels here. I definitely want to hear from you. Definitely want you to be a part of the community and let me know what you think of the show, who you might want to see on the show, or if you think you might be a great guest for the show. Definitely connect with me there. Also, like I said, if you are one of those ones that tends to watch on LinkedIn and Facebook, I do highly encourage you to jump on over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Don Terrell. Give a thumbs up. Comment on the episodes because that definitely helps. Subscribe and hit the bell notification. And you can check out all the other past great episodes as well. You know, it definitely makes for a better channel. Also, I always want to put in, we definitely would love your support for the show. We're currently working on getting some big sponsors for the show, but we love everybody that helps me to continue to level up the show. So you can definitely drop something in the tip jar. I wouldn't be mad at you for sure. Again, this has been such the great episode. I can't thank, again, Brian enough for being on the show. Make sure that you tune in next week because we're going to have another great episode for sure. Super excited to be welcoming my guest, Miss Elisa Gonzalez, visual development artist. It's going to be another great episode. So looking forward to having her on the show for sure. Oh, man. This has been one heck of a day. I cannot stress that enough. But again, I thank everybody that's tuned in, showed up, and kind of had some fun with me today. Make sure, again, like you said, you tune in next week. It's going to be a great episode. But till then, have a great weekend. Have a great week, and I will see you next week. Same bat time. Same bat channel. Cheers.